Do you ever feel like life is too noisy, like you're busy all the time but nothing really gets done? Imagine doing fewer things but achieving more. Sounds impossible, right? That's what I thought too, until I read Essentialism. This book helped me simplify my life and focus on what truly matters.
Less but better. Essentialism helps me to prioritize the things that matter most to me. We're often told that working hard is important, but while that's true to a certain degree, working hard only gets us so far. Our time is limited and we're bombarded with things vying for our attention. We can't do it all. And even if we work as hard as we possibly can, beyond some point, more effort causes our progress to plateau and even stall. So I've learned that it's important to choose what to work on. Essentialism is not about getting more things done, it's about getting the right things done. Cole Newport also writes about this in his book Slow Productivity. One of the principles is to do fewer things, but obsess over quality. An example is the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. What are the vital few things in your work or life, the 20% that, when you give it your all, will yield the greatest results, the 80%? The goal is not simply to do less for the sake of less. It's more about how can I invest my time and energy more wisely, so I can live at my highest point of contribution and only do what's essential. I value my time and I don't want to spread myself too thin. I want to make these videos and learn new things because that's fulfilling to me. As an introvert, I also crave having some alone time during the week. Those things are essential to me. So I've become more comfortable with saying no to opportunities and requests that don't align with that. I like how William Ury put it in his book The Power of a Positive No. He writes that a positive no doesn't stem from being against something, but is rooted in a deeper yes. Almost everything is noise. It's so easy to get distracted from what you care about the most at a soul level. To someone who's not clear about what's essential to them, it's easy to procrastinate and give in to short-term pleasure. What Essentialism has taught me is that the number one thing on the list is 10 times more important than the second thing on the list. Few things really matter. There was a time in my life where I would refresh the news sites almost hourly out of habit. But that just put me in a state of high alert all the time, because there's always something wrong somewhere in the world. I now check in maybe once every couple of weeks or once per month with the news, and I find that that's enough to stay informed of the major things that are happening in the world. Being this intentional about how I spend my time gives me more space to work on what truly matters to me. And I find that it's also easier to get in a state of flow. I can't control my options, but I can control how I choose among them. Sometimes it can feel like life is full of things that you need to do for your boss, your clients, co-workers, your family. And while we can't control the cards we're being dealt in life, we can control how we play them. I find this empowering. The ability to choose cannot be taken away. It starts with getting clarity on what's essential to me and prioritizing those things. And if you're working with others, communicating your priorities and preferences with your coworkers and clients so it can be used in the best way. That doesn't mean that life is only a breeze after that though. Just because I am more intentional about what I spend my time on doesn't mean some things can't still be hard or boring. But when I notice this feeling of dread coming up, I tell myself I choose to do this instead of I have to do this. This gives me a sense of agency, of being in control over how I spend my time, even when my options are limited. That choice also creates space to negotiate. If your boss or your client comes up to you with another project and you think you already have too much on your plate, you could say, look, I think this is a great project, but I'm not sure I'm the right person for it. But I know someone who might be a perfect fit. Or you could say, I would love to do this. Which project that I'm already working on should I deprioritize? Multitask, don't multifocus.
You may have heard that we can't multitask. When we try, all we're doing is switching between single tasks. But that's not the full story. We can easily do two things simultaneously. I can do the dishes and listen to a podcast. Or you can go on a hike and have a deep conversation while walking. Where we get into trouble is when we try to concentrate on two things at the same time. We can multitask, but not multi-focus. And Essentialism is about being deeply focused on one thing at a time. Greg McKeown even recommends scheduling your focus time.
You have to actually create space on your calendar, in your day, routinely if possible, to think and to be designful.
This is from his class Simple Productivity, How to Accomplish More with Less, available on Skillshare, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is the largest online learning community with teachers who know their stuff. With thousands of classes on topics like illustration, design, film, photography, minimalism, and productivity, it's the perfect place to learn a new craft, master a skill, or level up your side hustle. I've been a paying member for years. When I first became a minimalist, I learned a lot from Aaron Boyle's class Everyday Minimalism. I also learned how to edit my YouTube videos with Ali Abdal's Final Cut Pro class, back when I didn't even know the difference between A-roll and B-roll. And after reading Essentialism, I took Greg McKeown's Skillshare class, which is a great complement to the book. He talks about concepts from Essentialism like eliminating non-essentials, learning to uncommit, and mastering the slow yes, but from a fresh perspective. And it's just really cool to watch and listen to him speak. It's a different experience than reading the book. So if this sounds interesting, the first 500 people to use my link in the description below will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thanks again Skillshare for sponsoring this video.
Be a journalist of your own life. I've journaled on and off in my life, but in the last 1.5 years, I've journaled consistently, and I love it. I use an app called Day One. I prefer a digital journal, so I can easily edit and rearrange my notes. It also allows me to add photos, videos, audio clips, and this is very important, search through my old notes. That's one thing I always found annoying about paper journals. I knew I wrote this insight or random thought down somewhere, but where? What I took away from Essentialism is that the words journal and journalist come from the same root word. A journalist is someone who writes a journal. I never really thought of it that way. A journalist is someone who listens for what others don't hear, who listens for what isn't being said, reads between the lines, and that gives me pointers on how to journal. Before, when I journaled, I would simply write down what I did that day. Or I would get stuck on a negative thought and go down this rabbit hole of self-pity. That's why I stopped journaling in the past. I was like, this is not doing anything for me. I'm wasting my time. But when I journal now, I will still write down the things that I did, but I focus more on reflecting on interesting things I've seen or read or thoughts that I had. I have an inbox note in Apple Notes where I jot down anything interesting I read or see or think during the day. And then later I will add that to my journal. It can be something strange, like we call an orange an orange. Could there be an alternative universe where they call a banana a yellow? But also reflect in my journal about something I've read in books. For example, a while back I read the book Grand Hotel Europa by the Dutch author Ilja Leonard Pfeiffer. And in it he writes that tourism destroys the very thing that it's attracted to. That really stuck with me. He argues that while tourists are mainly looking for an authentic experience, their very presence causes the demise of that authenticity and makes a place lose its soul. Pfeiffer uses Venice as an example, but this idea has popped back into my head many times in the last couple of years, whenever I'm traveling, and my reflections on that end up in my journal. Once every 90 days or so, I'll go through my old notes to see if I can spot a pattern or just revisit something interesting. Many of the ideas for my videos actually start with a journal entry. Identify the Herbie. In the 1984 novel The Goal by Eliyahu Goldratt, Alex Rogo is tasked with turning around a failing production plant in 3 months. His mentor tells him that he can do it if he can only find the bottleneck that's holding back the production. Alex then goes on a hike with his son and his son's friends as a scout leader. But the group is moving slowly because one kid, Herbie, keeps falling behind. So after Alex takes the weight out of Herbie's backpack and puts him up front, he realizes that this is the key to turning around the failing production plant. He needs to identify the Herbie. What I identified in my own life is that if I move around a lot and I don't have a calm, quiet home to work from, my productivity takes a big hit. So this might be a good time to pause the video and ask yourself, what or who is the slowest hiker in my life? What is the obstacle or constraint that is keeping me back from achieving what really matters to me? And what could I do about it? Edit your life. As someone who edits his own videos for YouTube, this tip especially resonated with me. When I edit a video, I cut a lot of the fluff to make the video condensed. I don't just remove double takes and errors, but I also cut out anything that is confusing or isn't moving the story forward. And then I try to make the video more engaging with B-roll and effects, but only insofar they contribute to the overall point of the video. A good editor makes it hard not to see what's important because he eliminates everything but the elements that absolutely need to be there. Likewise, in life, disciplined editing can help increase my ability to focus and give energy to the things that really matter. So how do you edit your life? You could start by cutting out options that get in the way of what's essential to you. And if possible, condense the things you do want to do. One thing I do is batching similar tasks, like buying groceries for the week instead of going to the supermarket every single day, or record multiple videos in one day. And course correct when your life is going in the wrong direction. To do this, it's important to reconnect with your core purpose, with what's essential. One thing that Greg McKeown doesn't mention in his book, but that I would add, is to romanticize your life. When I compare the final version of a video to the original raw shots, that final version looks so much better. You can do the same by taking a pause, becoming present, and enriching this very moment by taking in your surroundings through all your senses and frame them in a positive light. Earlier in this video, I mentioned that while hard work is important, it only gets you so far. What's more important is that you work smart, that you focus your time and energy on what's essential, on what matters to you the most. Some companies describe their work culture as work hard, play hard. And while that may sound good on the surface, I think it's terrible advice. I made a separate video about that, which you can watch right here. So thanks for watching this video. I hope to catch you in the next one, and have a great day. Bye bye.